Hi friends, today in class for our lesson, you made a Venn diagram with your class about what is the state in charge of and what is the federal government in charge of and what are both in charge of together. So today for our independent work, the first thing that we're going to do, friends, is we're going to come to slide number 2 and we're going to delete this box. We're going to do it by clicking on the box and hitting delete or backspace, your choice. And now we get this really nice picture of where the answers are. So now that we can see the answers, what I want you to do right now, friends, is I want you to go back to your classwork that you did with your teacher and check to see, are your answers the same as this Venn diagram? What's different? Why do you think that is that you put one of your answers that was different from this answer key? So if you're having a hard time figuring out why an answer belongs where it is on this answer key versus what you had, what I want you to do right now is I want you to write down that selection. Now, friends, let's go to the first question for independent work. How is your sort similar to and different from the sort or answer key? So you know how we just said that you should put down anything that you had for your teacher to ask questions to them? What did you have similar and what did you have different? Was everything the same? Was anything different? You're going to put that right over here. Now, my friends, I want you to think about this. Why do you think certain powers, like the power to coin money or declare war, aren't given to individual states? Would you want New York to have that power to declare war or make their own money versus New Jersey? Think about it very carefully. What if all 50 states declared war at once? What would we do as a nation? What if we all had different money as a nation? How would that work? And last but not least, for this part of your assignment, what power surprised you? So going back into our selections, maybe that states hold elections, or maybe that it's the federal government to set up a post office, or maybe to establish and maintain schools as a state power versus a federal power. What surprised you? I can't wait to see what you put down that surprised you. After you've completed slides 2 and 3, friends, I want you to double check to see what has your teacher assigned you to complete. Are you to complete source set A, B, or C? If you're completing A, you're going to look at this picture and read this text. And if you're having a hard time reading it, you're going to click on the audio button and then go to the next page, slide 5, and click on the audio button for source set A. Then you're going to answer the following questions. What did you notice about the numbers? What stood out to you? Why do you think that the constitution of a state which is smaller and has fewer people than the United States as a whole would be longer than the U.S. Constitution? Why do you think that the U.S. Constitution went through fewer changes than the New York State Constitution? If you had source set B, you're going to watch this short film by clicking on the play button. And you're going to look at the difference between state versus federal. And then you're going to read this section. If you're having a hard time, you can press on the audio button. Then you're going to come to slide 9 and read that section. And if you're having a hard time, you can press on the audio button. Last but not least, for source set B, if that's what you were assigned, you're going to answer the following questions. Which illustrations from the video stood out to you? What do they show about federal and state power? The video compares a sledgehammer to a regular hammer and says that one is not better than the other because it is bigger. What does this tell you about the relationship between federal and state government? Think, which one is bigger? According to the text, how do state powers help support federal power in the United States? You might have to go back to the text for this answer. Finally, if you had source set C, you're going to look at an example of the Fourth Amendment with Mr. Weaver. If you're having a hard time reading this, you could press the audio key up here. And once you read this amendment example, you're going to come answer the questions on number 14. And for source set C, you're going to think about what protections did New York State's Constitution offer to Mr. Weaver that the U.S. Constitution did not? So what extra power and protection did he get living in New York versus what the federal government was willing to give him? How are affirmative rights different from negative rights? And finally, what does New York State's Constitution guarantee that the U.S. Constitution does not? So what do you get from living in New York versus what is the federal government willing to give you? Why do you think a state is better able to guarantee these things than a country? So why can New York protect those rights that you're given in its constitution versus a federally written constitution? I can't wait to see your answers for your source set as well as your compare and contrast from your Venn diagram friends. Bye for now.